actually thought that I'd rather just have some questions and I'll answer them because, you know, I don't have a very structured plan to talk to you today, but I thought it's just easier doing it this way, so, you know.
Sure, we've got some questions here and then we'll be opening it up. First question is, it's a tough one. How has using rare varieties of vegetables given you the edge as a chef?
Yeah, well, I mean, absolutely it has given me the edge. You know, I think any sort of person that works in the creative field wants a large palette to work from. You know, and if I was an artist, I'd want all the colours. And as a chef, I want all the varieties. I want all the shapes. I want all the amazing, unusual forms that are out there. I mean, it's actually pretty sad that, you know, I mean, there's literally thousands of apples, for example, out there. All sorts of heirlooms that are amazing in flavour. But what we see maybe 5 or 6 in our supermarkets throughout the year. Because what they're interested in is something that's shelf stable, that's going to last a long time, that's going to travel well. But as a chef, what I'm interested in is something that has a unique flavour. And maybe it's only in season for 3 weeks, but that's glorious for me because that's something to celebrate. So, you know, over the years, I've introduced so many new things. And I think one of my favourite achievements was that a couple of years ago, probably about 3 years ago, I walked into my local supermarket and lo and behold, purple carrots were on the shelf. And I was like, yes. You know, and I think, you know, without, you know, trying to remain humble, I think I inspired a lot of chefs in Sydney and in Australia to actually ask questions from their growers, because I think when you start putting stuff on a plate that's different and unique, a lot of other chefs are talking to their suppliers and going, well, why can't you get this for me? Why can't you get that? And then you create this demand, and this demand then it does have a trickle-down effect, and then it becomes, you know, sort of, you know, people watch TV shows that Australian chefs are using something interesting, and then they want to use it. So they'll go to the farmers markets and they'll ask their farmers, well, why can't we get, you know, beautiful pink Italian turnips? I saw them on this program the other day, and so then it creates this groundswell, and then all this interesting produce starts to start filtering through. And you know, I think Australia today, 10 years, 11 years later, I'm just looking at my vegetable list that I get from my standard supplier, who's sort of an industry supplier, and it's grown dramatically from where it was. And it's because demand is, people will want to have this choice, and we don't want to be limited, and we want to experience these beautiful ingredients. So it definitely gave me an edge, because it gave me this sort of uniqueness that people were coming, and other chefs were coming, and foodies were coming, and they're going, wow, these plates are beautiful, they're colourful, there's all these incredible herbs and flowers being used. And I think when I was doing this, it was right at the beginning of a big revolution in food worldwide as well, you know. And I think going back sort of to, you know, the early 2000s, in gastronomy, it was all about sort of, you know, science and looking at how you could gel something or how you could emulsify something to create something that was unusual texturally on the plate. But around about 12 years ago, a lot of chefs in Europe as well and here in the States started thinking, well, you know, look at the natural world. Look at what is beautiful in the natural world, and let's bring that into our cuisine. And the cuisine then started becoming a lot more focused on nature. Foraging started being very big, you know, and growing vegetable chefs. You know, I think, you know, you go back to, say, Michel Bras in the 1980s in France, and he was doing all of this stuff way before any of us, and growing vegetables for the restaurant. I mean, the French and Italians have been doing this forever, you know, but I think in countries like the UK and maybe the States and Australia, we're probably a little bit more behind in having that product to plate experience. And I think in the last sort of, you know, decade and a half, it's become much more apparent. That's where the interest is in for chefs, and it's not just vegetables. You know, it's also in, you know, talking to your seafood supplier and finding out what fish are actually in season, and you know, sort of, you know, Berkshire black pigs, you know, and if you don't eat them, that breed dies out. So, you know, it's actually, you know, having something that's bred for the table because, you know, it's flavoursome. It may take longer to grow this particular pig. It's a very similar sort of thing with the vegetable world. I think we started to get much more interested in where does our produce come from, who's growing it, why is it different, how's it interesting, and what's the flavour like, and they're the most important things.